This presentation will describe and explain strategic alignment, which is a business planning and management system in the book Achieving a Sustainable Competitive Advantage, which was published by Amazon.com in 2013. Companies who install strategic alignment within a matter of a few months will see a measurable improvement in morale. Decision making will become more consistent and better, and financial results will improve. That alone should be enough to pay the price of admission. But companies who do install strategic alignment and diligently follow it and get better at it, in 3 or 4 years can achieve a sustainable competitive advantage, which a former chairman of IBM referred to as the holy grail of strategic thinking. So what is a sustainable competitive advantage? The vast majority of companies today are constrained in how much they can charge for their products or services because of competitive pressure. A few companies, however, have given their customers reasons other than price to buy from them. And these companies have achieved a sustainable competitive advantage. They earn higher margins, especially higher gross margins, than most of their competitors. The impetus of this book started when we looked at corporate America and saw that many companies were founded, they grew up, some of them to the top of their industry, and they would thrive for a while, and then suddenly begin a slow decline, which was apparently irreversible, and eventually they would die or through bankruptcy or get acquired. The companies on this list are just a very few examples of this phenomenon of the corporate life cycle. The fact that companies are born, grow, live, and then eventually die is the common rule in corporate America. The corporate wayside is strewn with the corpses and bodies of companies who failed. As a matter of fact, companies who begin the decline and are able to reverse the decline and continue and thrive, companies such as IBM and GE a few years ago, are the exception, not the rule. But there are also some companies out there who appear to have found ways to avoid that fate, and they have achieved a sustainable competitive advantage and are thriving today. This lists some of them. This list is not intended to be all-inclusive. You may know of some companies you think should be on the list. If you do, put them on your list. I studied these companies to find out what it is that they do that the companies who failed did not do that allow them to continue to thrive and avoid the decline. And I discovered that these companies follow most, if not all, of 7 guiding principles. Let's discuss these principles quickly. Number 1, successful companies keep their central focus and top priority on the customer and the customer need. They identify and select their customers. They do not try to be all things to all people. They differentiate how they serve the recognized need of the selected and identified customer. They develop and promulgate prioritized values. All of their decisions, initiatives, plans, procedures, policies, actions, and reactions are in alignment with the central focus and the company mission. The leadership preaches the mission throughout the company with a religious-like zeal and commitment. And every employee, including the CEO, subordinates his or her needs to the needs of the company. One of the goals of the book was to take what has been an art practiced by people such as Steve Jobs, Fred Smith of FedEx, Jim Senegal of Costco, and Jim Casey of UPS, and turn it into a science that anybody could follow. And we developed strategic alignment, which was designed to help companies achieve a sustainable competitive advantage and follow the 7 guiding principles. Strategic alignment begins with the customer need and ends with the customer reward. In between the need and the reward, there are 7 directives that the company can follow in both their planning and their management that will lead to achieving a sustainable competitive advantage. So let's discuss strategic alignment in more detail. The purpose of a company is to serve a recognized customer need. This must be a real need, not a need that exists just in the mind of the executives of the company, but it must be separate and apart, and it must be a need that is recognized and understood by the executives of a company, but not created. Of funded startups that fail, this is the number one reason why they fail. 40% of them fail because when they got their product or service to market, there was no demand, or there at least was not enough demand to make it scalable. The customer need was created in the mind of the company, and it did not exist outside of their mind. This is the number one obstacle to success. So the purpose of a company, which is directive number 1, is to serve a recognized need. Making money is not the primary purpose of the company. Pursuing a technology or beating the competition are not the primary purpose of the company. The primary purpose of the company is and must be to fulfill the needs of the customer. The central focus and urgency must always be on the customer and his or her need. Now, don't get me wrong, I understand and agree that financial strength is important to a company if it is to survive, thrive, and grow. But making a profit is the result of doing business. It's a metric, it's a measure of how well the company is performing. But it is not the purpose of doing business. The purpose of the company is and must be to fulfill the needs of the customer. After purpose comes a mission statement. And this is not the mission statement that you see hanging in the lobby on the wall of most companies that says essentially we will be the best at what we do and our employees are our most important asset. In strategic alignment, the mission statement is 1.5 to 2 pages, single-spaced, and is a well thought out, hard-hitting statement of who the customer is, what that customer expects from you, what specific products and services you will deliver to the how the products and services will be delivered, and how your company will be different from other companies who offer to serve that customer. The mission statement is the heart of strategic alignment, and differentiation is the heart of the mission statement. When I ask companies how they are different, by far the number one answer I get is that they are smarter. I presume they mean they're smarter than their competitors. But whether or not they're smarter is not the issue, and it doesn't matter, because the customer doesn't care whether they're smarter or not. The customer cares of only one thing: how well the company meets and fulfills their need. In order for a company to truly differentiate itself, it must know and understand its customers on a continuous basis. Strategic alignment forces leadership and management to focus fiercely on the customer and the customer need. This is a never-ending task and a never-ending process. Every year, Business Week magazine, in one of their issues, they named the Business Week 50, which is that year's winners of the best corporate performers in publicly traded companies in the U.S. among different categories. In discussing the 50, Business Week said, "What distinguishes many of these organizations is a deep understanding of customers, a competitive advantage that has enabled them to sell more goods and services than their rivals." Strategic alignment also forces leadership and management, after studying and understanding the customer and the customer need, to ensure that all the elements in the company are aligned with the customer need and serving that need in ways that provide a true, valuable difference to the customer. And then they continuously educate all employees about the mission and their part in meeting that need. The mission must differentiate how the company will serve the customer need in ways that have real value to the customer. As I said, differentiation is the heart of the mission statement. And the difference must have true value to the customer. As a matter of fact, the entire management philosophy and methodology of strategic alignment derives from one central tenet. If a company is to maximize its performance in a sustainable manner, it must truly differentiate itself from its competitors in the eyes of its customers. Moreover, this differentiation must be real, visible, and understandable to the customer, and the difference must have real value to the customer. If you don't give the customer a reason other than price to buy from you, then the customer will make their buying decision based on price. And you don't want to be there. And if your customer is buying from you because of price, you will never achieve a sustainable competitive advantage. Priorities and company values and principles are a central part of strategic alignment. And these are defined in the mission statement. These values and principles must be well thought out and must truly reflect the view of the company's executive management towards their constituencies, which is the business, the customer, the employees, the suppliers, the owners, and the community where they operate. The mission should also include the following four concepts in the statement of values. We will not make commitments to our customers, our employees, or our owners that we cannot keep, and we will keep the commitments we make. We value, respect, and trust our customers, employees, and owners, and we will strive every day to earn and deserve their respect and trust. We treat our customers, our owners, and each other honestly and truthfully, and we obey the law. After the mission comes the vision. What future you will create for your customer. The vision can include the broadening of your product lines or services, the broadening of your customer base, and the broadening of your geographical reach, growth. Wanting to do these things is easy, but knowing when to do them is the tricky part. Companies such as Compaq Computer, before they were acquired by Hewlett-Packard, did a very good job with managing their mission, their vision, and their growth, broadening particularly of their products. Other companies such as Boston Chicken didn't do such a good job. After vision comes the strategy. How you will fulfill the mission and vision. Now we are starting to get more detailed in our planning. The strategy is a detailed plan of how the company will execute the mission and make the vision happen. The strategy defines who will do what, by when, and with what resources to realize the mission and vision. And in order to do that, we have to have a budget. And strategic alignment, the budget is a statement of the strategy just in financial terms. Taken together, the mission, vision, and strategy constitute the leadership directives and are the responsibility of the company's leadership, primarily the CEO. And this is why the subtitle of this book is The Playbook for the CEO. After strategy comes structure. And the structure is everything in the company that is written down, like the business plan, the budget, manuals or handbooks, org charts, compensation plans, training manuals, curricula, quality programs, policies, and procedures. Now we're starting to put meat on the bones, and as you'll see here, all of these directives are aligned with the mission. They all see the mission. After structure comes systems. These are the people, the processes, and the technology that come together to support the mission and the vision. Systems is where the rubber meets the road and where most of the time, energy, and money of the company are invested. If you're a manufacturer, your systems include the acquisition of all your raw material and parts. You're bringing them to the factory floor, the assembly of them into products, and the moving of those products into inventory. And it is important that not only should systems be vertically aligned with the mission the way all the other directives are, systems must also be horizontally aligned and balanced. The people, the processes, and the technology must all be balanced among themselves. One common mistake that companies make is that they invest in new technology for systems, but they do not invest in the people and the processes to update them to optimize the use of the new technology. So what they've done is increase their investment in technology, and the result is that productivity goes down, not up. So this is important because systems will be no better and no more effective than its weakest component. After systems comes performance. This is the actual product or service that is delivered to and paid for by the customer. And this is primarily what the customer sees of the company. So the aligned company, the leadership directives, which are mission, vision, and strategy, create values and priorities that guide managers and employees in day-to-day decisions, allowing managers to remove obstacles between the mission and the employees so that employees can meet or exceed the customer's expectations, such that the customer's highest expectations are realized and the company is rewarded with loyalty and high margins. And that, in a nutshell, is strategic alignment and how you get to a sustainable competitive advantage. Under strategic alignment, leadership and management have different responsibilities. The leadership consists of the CEO and all of the top managers in the various departments. The chiefs, if you will, such as the chief marketing officer, the chief financial officer, the chief technical officer. And it is the job of leadership to recognize and understand the customer need on a continuous basis. In order to do that, they have to get out of the office, out of the conference room, and into the field and talk to the customer and find out what makes that customer's boat float. And as they understand better the customer need, they need to tweak the mission so that they can fulfill that need in a way that differentiates the company in the eyes of the customer. And then they must preach the mission and the customer need constantly to all employees. Those are the primary responsibilities of leadership, and they cannot be given to others to do. The leadership must do. Whereas management ensures that the structure and the systems are balanced among themselves and in alignment with all higher directives, especially in strategic alignment, the mission. And management identifies and removes the obstacles that stand in the way of the employees fulfilling the mission and meeting the customer need as closely as possible. all of the directives align with and support the mission. Any activity that does not support the mission is eliminated, and everything begins and ends with the customer. A company cannot become perfectly aligned. The company is always either moving towards or away from alignment. And in the book, we explain 4 metrics that the company can use to measure how it is doing, how aligned it is, and whether it's currently moving towards or away from alignment. Different companies are driven by different forces. Mission-based companies who align the elements of the organization are customer-driven, and these are the companies who continually rank at the top of their industry. In summary, aligned companies are mission-based. They know what they are and what they want to become. They keep focused. They place the customer first. They trust their employees. They communicate with their employees over and over again. And when they feel that the employees have finally gotten it, that they understand strategic alignment, they know who the customer is and what that customer's need is and how the company fulfills that need, then and only then they empower their employees to serve that customer need. Companies who do these things outperform companies who don't. Thank you for spending time on this presentation. My contact information is on this slide. I welcome contact from any and all of you, particularly any of you who feel like you might want to install strategic alignment in your company and feel that I may be of help. So please contact me. I prefer emails. And thank you again.